into the nitty-gritties, which I will at the end of the day, I would like to introduce, because we need a perspective of how financial institutions look at sustainability. There's a very important and very interesting part of any sustainability mechanism is how does banks look at sustainability? And as an entrepreneur, as a growing entrepreneur, if I want to set up a new institution, I want to know whether the banks are going to incentivize me for having a sustainable model ahead. So who else better than one of the leading heads in the industry? So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Namita Vikas for an insight into the financial industry and sustainability as such.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti. I think you've set the context very well, and I take this opportunity to thank the IOD for inviting Yes Bank here to share what we are doing from a sustainability standpoint at the bank. So sustainability as a topic has gone up to the boardroom really, and maybe the trigger is the CSR law that we have in place. However, there have been certain pragmatic organizations across the globe which have assumed some sharper focus. Given the emerging climate change crisis, food, energy, water security challenges, I think implementing environmental solutions that are well integrated within the business is becoming very critical and important, especially with banks which are, which play a central role in an economy, and we infuse capital, so that we have to ensure that, the whole method is sustainable. To my mind, sustainable solutions are not those that really solve problems of today, but those which are preemptive, proactive to a great degree. In addition to these solutions, what we need is to take into consideration the rampant production and the consumption patterns, because at the end of the day, we are talking about an $8 billion, 8 billion population across the world. To really have a strategic advantage, organizations like the Yes Bank, we have developed certain holistic approach to measure qualitative and quantitative impact on stakeholders, both from an internal and an external perspective. And this really entails creating shared value by adopting a triple bottom line approach, which is deeply thought out from a risk appetite perspective to contribute to inclusive growth and international parity. So, as a bank, we believe that it is very critical to proactively invest in businesses that have positive environment and social impact. So one is business as usual, but how do you assume a sharper focus where you proactively go out behind those projects which are creating positive environmental impact? Therefore, linking sustainable development with stakeholder value by innovating business solutions and also weaving sustainability within becomes paramount. With this thought, we've created some very impactful, replicable, and scalable models that ensure long-term business success by creating economic and social development, a healthy environment, and a stable society. I want to put all these three in the right perspective. So sustainability is not a silo that sits within the bank, but it's very well integrated within the business. In a global scenario marked by subdued investments, banks need to emerge as active funding sources in clean energy space, be it solar, wind, or waste sectors. One of an award-winning projects that we recently funded, which I would particularly like to share here, is the Welspun Neemaj solar PV project in Madhya Pradesh, which holds the distinction of being the largest solar project in India with a capacity of 151 megawatts. It is also the single largest location for renewable energy in Asia. Along with business impact, I think what is most important to note here is that this project will supply electricity to 6,24,000 households and offset 2,16,000 tons of CO2 emissions annually. Now, when this project started, it was observed that solar panels that were shipped for installation came in these large wooden crates that were discarded, so that was just really waste. Today, what is being done is these wooden planks are converted into school benches and desks, thereby not only creating employment for locals, but also providing dignity to the school children who otherwise would have to sit on the floor to study when they went to school. Well, we've seen in yesterday's budget, the government has proposed to establish the National Adaptation Fund for Climate Change, and the Finance Minister has promised 100 crores into the fund as an initial sum. In addition to that, renewable energy has also assumed a larger focus with about 1,200 crores being pumped into energy projects. I think this would certainly encourage industry to take pragmatic steps towards elimination from a climate mitigation perspective. So moving on to the internal part of how sustainability really, so the earlier slide was really about external approaches that as a bank one would have. From an internal perspective, moving on to weaving sustainability principles within the organization, Yes Bank has implemented a very structured approach, which is a 360-degree risk mitigation framework. This is an environment and social policy that we've adopted voluntarily, which is based on Equator principles, wherein we have a robust framework of not only doing financial due diligence of companies, but it goes to do due diligence of environment and social footprint of companies. And there are loans that we refuse, so there is a business impact naturally, on basis of certain environmental concerns, or there is a plan that is shared with the client to say that work on these 5 areas and then we would come and look at loans. Of course, to a large degree, many a times there is this conversation with our business where there are considerations where the business says, no, it's at the end of the day profits, but we say, no, you have to look at environment and social parameters when we are lending, because we want to be a sustainable bank and we don't want non-performing assets to get attached to the bank. In line with our commitment to achieving internal natural resource consumption efficiencies and minimizing our own carbon footprint, we became the first Indian commercial bank to achieve the ISO 14001 certification for the bank. It's a very difficult task because here we are talking about 580 branches which are spread across India, and the whole measurement process becomes a big challenge. However, we decided about 2 years back that we had to get in this certification more to have a robust measurement system, and therefore we went after it and got the certification. We launched this whole program called War on Waste within the organization, which looks at eliminating waste resulting from overprocessing, overproduction, inventory, rework. I would like to highlight a very interesting model here really, which is a smart solution that we implied where there is no human intervention required, and this is at our ATMs. It is called Site Environment Management System, SEMS, which ensures lowering cost, greater efficiency in consumption of electricity. In our off-site lobby ATMs, this device is connected to all the electrical equipment which is installed at the ATM, which means ACs, UPCs, the lights, signages, all inclusive. And it connects to our main server. All the ACs are timed through the SEMS, which also includes controlling the temperature centrally, individually for each ATM location. This comes handy in specific geographies like the NCR, where there are extreme climatic conditions that one has to monitor. All lights are connected through the SEMS on an auto on and off an ATM level. And this device also controls the battery levels and sends a signal back to the monitoring center. The SEMS throws an alert on any lights or signages that are not operational also. Through this one initiative, the bank covering 400 offsites has saved 2 crores in the last 1 year. I think while it's not a very large amount from that perspective, the solution is extremely scalable and sustainable, and we've seen other banks now following suit and taking this into consideration. One more point that I want to highlight here is this whole SEMS has, we would need to have security personnel. So this actually includes a number of features such as alarms, motion sensors, which ensures enhanced safety at the ATM locations that we have. So what I want to really say here is that, in this new world order, it demands not only disruptive and innovative solutions, but also replicable models that guide organizations implement sustainable strategies successfully. It is important for the financial sector to stay ahead of the curve, check all boxes, meet the short-term profitability expectations through traditional lending, because that's the role that banks really play, and also nurture greener verticals that will deliver the triple bottom line results in the long term. So we've seen the momentum worldwide really has picked up with increased, multiple organizations being harbingers of sustainability, especially from an environmental protection standpoint. We've seen at the UN level, the Secretary General has taken up this very aggressively. And it is only encouraging to see IOD create awareness on climate change and lead such fruitful discussions. I think it's a platform that has brought together institutions not only for creating value for themselves and their stakeholders, but also evolving as sustainability catalysts. I think that's the important message that I want to leave you with. Thank you.